Hi, it's Matt with Lights on Canoe Brook. I'm going to do a quick little behind the scenes tour of my show that we had for the 2018 Christmas season. This right here is the mega tree on the right hand side. It's a 24 by 75 mega tree with a Boscoyo 270 node star. This was actually the first mega tree I ever built. It's actually been modified 1 or 2 times. These are the old style strips that James had when I first got into the hobby 3 years ago. I modified this mega tree using the monkhouse base. The reason that I did that was because I did not want to drill into my concrete driveway. So I added additional support to the base with wood forward. As well, I used top rail chain link fence pipe to actually support the base to, instead of it being pulled up, those brackets actually hold it down as I use the jump pole to bring it up. This is the, I believe it's the junior pole that Walter has done. With this tree right here, it's actually, once again, it's a 24 by 75, but I actually do 75 pixels up and 75 pixels down. I run my entire display at 30%. On this specific tree and my other mega tree, I do not do any power injection. This is actually running one of the Falcon boards. This is a F16 V2, which is the one that I bought originally. This enclosure that I have is a bud enclosure using a Jadiation, his brackets, and once again, this is just an F16 V2 with the expansion board. I also have a fan that runs continuously in here as well. I also have LED indicators on both of the power supplies that are in this box. It shows what the power is. For each board, it's a quick little indicator that allows me to know if I do have problems with the show or the power supply. I'll know that ahead of time. I also used, I think they're either PG7 or PG9 for each and every one of the pigtails. These are Ray Wu's 3-core pigtails that I'm using, and once again, there is no power injection. Something else that I also did with, I also anchored the Megatree base with little U-bolts on the one side, and I also did it on the other to keep it level. You'll also see on the other side where I'd used that, and then I also used little Ethernet connectors, waterproof Ethernet connectors that I've used for the entire show. In the back, because I had no other way to secure it, I just used a strap to the back of the tree that's right over here on my display. As I move forward, I'll move to the other right-hand side. These are also new. These are pixel poles that I added for my show. Last year, I loved when I added my columns. I had custom strings made. I was originally going to do, actually let me back up here. I was originally going to do a 6 by 30 matrix, similar to what I had on my columns, and when I saw how short they were at 2-inch spacing, I decided to do a 4 by 45 because they're 180 nodes. I am using, in my display, I actually have 9 receiver boards, and I'll show you the receiver board in a second. Because of the bush that I have right here on the right hand side, I wanted to make them higher, which is the reason why I used a 10-foot 3/4 inch EMT pole. And then from there, all of my receiver boards are identical. There's not one that's not different. Basically, that way I don't have to worry about where I put them. So my receiver board that you'll see, I have LED indicators on every one. One of the Falcon receiver boards as well, and I have a distro board in the event that I would ever need it. For this specific prop, I did not need to. I didn't need to do any power injection or anything, but every single one of my 9 receiver boards are the exact same. Same setup, so I don't have to worry about where I need to put it for the next year. I just pull it out of the box and put it out. So on the right side of the display, I actually have 4 total pixel poles, and I just took I believe a 6-foot or an 8-foot piece of rebar, pounded it into the ground, and then I just had them level, and then I just put them on top of there. I don't have anything on the top that actually supports it. For the far right-hand side of the display, I have 3 of the chroma trees that I use. Those chroma trees only have 10 pixels per one. And then probably what I love the most about one of the things I love the most about it is the pixel trees that I actually learned from John Storms, as well as from Clyde Lindsay, on how they did theirs and the trials and tribulations that they had. I actually ordered custom strings from Ray to be able to do this prop. And what I did and how I wired it, I actually started with the prop, and this is the first pixel that's right here. What happens is it comes all the way down with pixels and then comes all the way up. And then what I have is I actually have a lead along, I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe 30 inches from this pixel, goes down to the bottom and back up, and then the next pixel starts here. And then I wired it back with pixels, and then it comes back over to this one right here, and then once again a long lead to the next pixel comes up and over here. And so I just continued that all the way up, and when I get to the next level I would just bring another long lead up and just continually wrap it around the entire tree until I got to the top. This prop right here is a 183 node pixel tree. The only thing that I wish is that they were taller and that they were spaced out more. When I bought these trees, these 7-foot or 8-foot trees that are now available are available, and quite honestly the amount of work that it took just to take the lights off and then put zip ties on this entire prop, it probably took me 1 day per one to do it. So I do have a total of 6 total trees. Here's 4 more. Something about my display is that it doesn't matter whether it's my HD PE arches or the pixel trees, or as well as my pixel poles, or the 9 mini trees that are in the front, or the 3 mini trees that are here as well. Everything is wired identical. They have an input and an output, so in the following year I don't have to remember which one is in which location. They're all identical. They're all available for power injection as well. Something I did want to, a lot of people ask how far can you run data, etc. From here I have a 5-foot lead from, once again, one of my receiver boards. Maybe that's a 10-foot lead, coming to my tree, which is 183 nodes, and then from there I think I have another 12-foot lead from the top of the tree, which is the last pixel, going into my very first Coro tree. And from there, once again, it's 10 nodes with in each one, and I ran it. This is all out of one output. So there's one output that's here, 183 nodes, comes to the first tree, which is right here, and then once again I have 5-foot spacing and then 10 nodes, 5-foot spacing and 10 nodes, 5-foot spacing and 10 nodes as well, and then so I have 7 of them total. So I have 183 nodes, then I have a 10-foot lead to the first pixel of the next tree, and then there's 5-foot spacing. I do that all on one output at 30% brightness. I've had a lot of people that have commented about data loss as well. A lot of that has to do with how close you are to each prop. For myself, I have not ran into any issues whatsoever. For my all of my arches that I have, I 3D printed the base from the 3D printing group. I wired them all with 2.5 meter strips that I bought from Ray Wu. I am able to quickly, if I ever have one go bad, one of the strips, which I have not in 3 seasons, I have never had a strip go bad. I use little dolphin clips, which I can't take it apart, but I use dolphin clips with JST connectors inside so I can make a quick disconnect and replace it if I ever needed to. While also talking about everything being identical, all of my candy canes are 100% identical. They're 99 pixel candy canes from James at Boscoyo. And once again, every prop, in the event that I would ever need to, has an extension on it. So if I needed to add another prop to it or something that happens in the future of the display, I can also do that. Once again, all of these are wired identically. So they're all going into a receiver board. And then at the same time, on the left-hand side, I have 3 of them as well that come on to the middle of the display. I have 4 total pixel poles on the left-hand side of the house. Once again, they're all wired identically. It doesn't matter where they're put in the future. They can be identical from here for placement. I'm going to take you over to my other mega tree. North Carolina has had an unbelievable amount of rain this year. We actually set a record. My grass is soaking wet. It's the only day it stopped raining. I've had issues with some pixels staying on, some of them have not, but this is just to show you how wet it is. It's ridiculous. So this is my 24 by 100 tree with, once again, a 270 node star. This is the ASAP senior pole that I'm using with a 2-inch solid pipe. I ordered all of my strings from Ray Wu with an 8-foot lead, so that way I didn't have to worry about additional pigtails that I would have to keep track of. This does have a connection right there to be able to go up to the 17 or some odd foot that this is, and I do actually have one guide wire that's in the back. What I have found is that I really don't need as many guide wires, even though I know it's recommended. I don't need as many guide wires for this tree because I have, in both of my mega trees, I have trees that block all the wind. So that's why I'm able to get away with maybe a little bit less secure than anybody else. One thing I did want to mention, it's new for me, are the ground anchors that I use this year. I was able to weld a piece of metal together, use a impact gun, and drill this into the ground. I believe those are 16-inch anchors that I use. So there's a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4's over here. And then I used 4 more with a ratchet strap. I will admit this isn't the best way to do it. I was running out of time to be able to set up with the help that I had. So basically I used another 16-inch anchor here and here, and then once again it just crosses the base, which made it level. This is my main controller. Something I just want to mention, I learned this in our groups. I have 4 total controllers. This is my F16 V3 number 3 and IP address 54. The reason why I mention this is because something that helped me out tremendously when I first got into lights, I actually believe Billy is the one that taught me this, is that set every one of your controllers to a whole universe start universe. So for example, my 51 box, .51 box starts at universe 100. My 52 box starts at universe 200. My 53 box starts at universe 300, and my 54 box starts at universe 400. Makes it so much easier. Once again, if I only use 28 universes, everything else is blank. I run all of my show in unicast. I do not run anything in multicast. This box right here has the F16 V3. It also has an expansion board, and it also has a 4-port expansion board as well. You'll see, just like all my other boxes, I do have the LED indicators on each side that you can see. Myself, I'm not so anal that I have to have the printing that most people do for their pigtail ends on either side. I found that just white tape and writing the number worked just as good for me. I was able to number them on all of my boxes this way. This does have, once again, 4 Meanwell power supplies. It has a continuous fan that runs, and then there's 2 vents. This is the intake, and this is the exhaust vent that I have over here for this box. I have actually been very happy with these boxes. Actually, I'm using my old box that I used last year just to take it up out of the ground because it's so wet over here. That box right there, not only does it run 2,400 nodes off of my tree, plus 270 nodes for my my mega star. Oh, look at that. Once again, North Carolina rain. I've got some props that are staying on. But that controller that I also have here runs also the whole left-hand side of the house. So I have the ridge line, the left side, the icicles, and everything. So I've ran into this a few times this season. I just we'll have to unplug the connection, and it should go off. Trying to do this with one hand. If I had an F amp, it would really help out. I don't have any more this season. Excuse me. And they're all back off. So this is the last day. My last run was last night. I'm planning on doing videotaping tonight, and then after that, I'm pretty much done for the season. As I mentioned, the whole left-hand side of the house, I run a vertical C9s that I have. I actually 3D printed the bracket that's up there that holds the PVC into place, and then from there I just use rebar that holds it into place on this side, and I just zip tie it. I am doing 5-inch spacing on all of my C9s that I use. So once again, this prop, I daisy chain almost all of my props together. So once again, this prop starts here and comes up, and then from there it connects to the left side of the house, and then it comes up and over. I don't know the exact number of pixels. That's probably maybe 80 pixels that I'm running on that one output. And then for my C9s on my gutters, I run C9s this way, and then I in turn take the icicles and run them in reverse this way without having to have another output. The windows are all identical. They also have once again an input and an output for everything. So as soon as I'm done with the prop on the window, it comes up to the snowflake. From the snowflake, it comes over here. There's probably a 5-foot extension from here to here, another extension from here to here. This window, as you can see, as we're talking here, it just turned on as well. Once again, all the rain, I've had so many issues this year with pixels either staying on and just having to recycle things. So move over to the columns. Once again, this is another testament of short runs and how long you can get. This column right here, which is my column number 4, that's 168 nodes, and I have an injection T that I have here, but I don't actually use that injection T. I don't have to, which is kind of crazy. I'm running 168 times 2, 330 some odd nodes on one receiver board with basically a 5-foot extension from the box to the first node, and then a 5-foot to the other 168 nodes. This is probably the hardest part of my entire display, is setting this up. To the top peak right there is probably 33 foot. That's probably the hardest portion of the entire display to set up, because I used PVC in one piece for the entire 33-foot run. When I take the entire show down this year, I'm going to make it in small 10-foot sections from there, and I'm going to use 3/4-inch EMT. Anything that I have on the house, whether it's the gutter line, whether it's the ridges, I 3D printed everything that connects it, and I just redo that every single year. Possibly in 2019, I may keep everything on the roof, but at this point in time, I don't plan on that. My second controller is up on the top side of the house, which you'll see right behind the wreath. That's another F16 V2. That's my Universe 200. I think I run 30 some odd universes out of that controller. But that runs my entire roof line of my house. Not to mention all the columns, the right and left peaks, the icicles in the middle as well. Over here is my P10 sign. Usually it's a 3x4 P10. I built the enclosure. I've been really happy with this. I have not had a single panel go bad. This year I did keep it out of the weather. Last year it was in a different location. But this is what the back of my enclosure looks like. I have a little power board that I'm using, 5-volt power supply, a Raspberry Pi, and I'm actually using a Crockett Matrix controller on my Raspberry Pi. I'd say for maybe 5 or 6 songs I do run video off of that, but the majority of it is just my Tune 2 sign. With X schedule this year, I was able to I actually had a couple guys in the community that were able to help me turn the background sequence off and then run the video And then once that song is over with, you can restart the background as well. This is nothing special. I just have a little switch that's inside of here where the rest of my connections come. And once again, this is another receiver board. As I mentioned before, they're all identical. I have a total of 9 of them. I got lazy towards the end of the year. I didn't have enough time. My plans were to have 2 more receiver boards, and that just didn't work out because I didn't have time. So I was able to use my mega tree, which I just showed you, and the first mega tree to fix the other side of the house where I needed power. From here, I'll start on my grass died this year because of all the rain and the fungus from 2 hurricanes in North Carolina. These are 9 mini trees, 85 nodes apiece. They're not full 360s. I think there's 2 rows in the back that I did not do. But once again, they're all identical. So in the expansion board, I run board 1, 2, 3, and I inject power at this one. And then the next port is running 1, 2, 3, which is my lights 4, 5, 6. And then the last one runs, if you can hear my feet just sloshing around, 7, 8, 9 is my 3rd port. And then lastly, these are 105 node trees as well from Boscoyo. And as I mentioned, everything that I use is all identical. So I have an in and an out. And you'll also see here, I'm using Ray Wu's, 3-core pigtail with a 2-core in the middle where data continues to flow to the next prop. And so this is, I probably only do power injection, maybe 5 or 6 different locations. This main area, because of the number of nodes, I am doing it, power injection. And how I tested it is how the lights worked at full white. And as it started to go pink is whenever I knew that I needed it, or if the signal would not continue to send, then I knew that I needed it as well. So I'll go back this way. This is my 4th controller, which is 192, 168, 150, I'm sorry, 192, 168, 0.53. This is Universe 300 for the house. This runs basically this entire area. I think I have 14 of the 16 outputs that are being used on this. And I'll show you that controller as well. Once again, using my old boxes to get it off the ground. And I'll flip this up backwards. So you can also see I'm using 2 power supplies in this box, LED indicators, the expansion board, and on this box and the box that I have in the center of my house, I do actually have power injection available if I need it. I believe I use 2 pieces of, or 2 different times I use power injection. Not much though. Currently, my longest run for my entire show is approximately, I think it's like a 35-foot run for the house, and the 35-foot run is actually the top ridge line of my house, which is out right now. It does not work. I've got a bad pixel on the left-hand side of the house, which is way up here on the left-hand side. You can, as I back up a little bit, start seeing it. Basically, right here, that whole ridge line at the top has gone. I have a bad pixel that won't send data. So I'm not going to get up on the roof because I'm just going to end up taking it down. I am going to take some video of the show tonight. I'm just going to use my drone without that prop on the back. But that's my show. Running approximately 22,000 pixels on the show. The majority of that is high density. The icicles take up a bunch, which I found when I added those last year. Just really love the look of it. I wish I would have done it in first year, but once again, I just continually added every single season. I am running 4 F16 V3s. I run 1 F16 V2, and I actually have a backup model that I also use, and I use an F16 V4 for all of my testing throughout the season. You know, if something goes bad, I can use a different prop and I can fix that. But I hope you guys like the video. If you have any questions, send me a message, and we'll go from there. Happy New Year.